Greetings, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we had slight technical difficulties, but we're on. My technicians asked me to fill the first minute at least while they set up the stream of the translators with something else than the class. So, which I often did, but I kind of forgot lately. And I start too fast. So in order to avoid everyone who will watch the video in the future to wait, I still try to be giving useful material. All right. So you pay attention inside and just think about the concept of expansion. Okay. And then we'll give much more. We'll start the class in another minute. Oh, by the way, I learned to time travel. I learned how to time travel in the 1970s, okay? All you have to do is grab the back of your head and pull forward like this. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is how I go in the 1970s. All right. Then to come back today, just pull back. Everything's fine. See? See how easy it is? Yeah. Didn't get a haircut for 2 years. And I decided, hey, let's see what it brings. My fingers get stuck. Well, I don't know. Wash your hair. I'm kidding, Raven. Raven is very clean person. She's super picky with appearances and stuff. Not superficial, but, taking care. So don't worry, it was just a joke. So, I filled the first 2 minutes with very useful stuff while my technicians were setting up their stream. So now we're good. I have the impression that today I will speak more of the mistake I did than the actual seal. Because the seal is so easy. If you look at the picture of seal number 36. All right. I do the mudra like this, okay? I show that the mudra is with these 2 fingers because this is easy to do. Like this is the be positive and eliminate negativity. Okay. So this is the picture I have taken, okay? But the original mudra is, I just want to look at the book because that's a mistake I've done. Mistake is a relative term. So this is the original mudra, okay? So I kind of switch, what do I do? Yeah, I switch those 2 fingers. So it's just easy to think major and ring and grab something, like actually we're holding a house or a box, okay? But the original mudra, they held it like this, which is not a natural gesture, okay? But that's the original mudra. Okay, so you hold a box or a little house with your index, your thumb, your index, and your ring, leaving your major and pinky extended. Okay. So when I was taking the pictures as a reflex, I did it comfortable. Okay. Once I realized that the book was printed for years, well, for a good while, maybe a year or so. Although I did publish it, last year? So yeah, at one point it was too late, okay? It's under the press, people got it. So I wish to explain something about the fact that it's not a mistake. It's a mistake according to the tradition. Like it's not the traditional mudra, okay? It's a try to leave your hand like this for half an hour while you do contemplation. It's not comfortable. But if you do it like this, it's more comfortable because you can just relax into it and it's more natural. Okay. You know how Kuji-in traditions, every different tradition of Kuji-in will make a mudra differently for the same stage. And sometimes the new students ask, who is right? Who is wrong? A different mudra simply produces a different effect. Okay, so this is expansion where you live in your environment. So it puts your power where you live. Okay, so that's what the Chinese wrote. It brings consciousness around you. It makes sure you are reincarnated in a family of Buddhas, or like they say, to always be reborn in palaces of Buddhas for lifetimes, and never be born from a womb, which is weird. Not be born from a womb. So you rise out of the earth? I don't know what they meant. If you do the mudra like this, it has less power of expansion, but it purifies the energies and it brings positivity. So you get to choose. Uncomfortable, but traditional, which is what we're supposed to learn. And it will follow specifically the process of expansion of your energy. If you want to do it comfortable, you can switch to that the same way that I've done when I took the pictures. Like, I just done that because it was comfortable. I didn't realize while watching the mudra, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. This mudra makes sense with that practice. Yeah, so it's a mistake because, you know, humans do that. But it's not wrong. Okay, so I hope this is good enough for you. I'm tortured. No, I'm torn or undecided. Yeah, less dramatic. If I'm going to teach it today with this or with this, because I want you to be comfortable and benefit from the purification of your immediate environment. But I also want to give initiation traditionally, so we'll go traditional. Okay, I will go traditional. But those who look, in the book that I published, the text description tells you to do that. The Chinese drawing tells you to do that, but my picture is something like this. So yeah, I hope people will figure it out. Okay, it's good that I give a class about it so that information can be known and the possible confusion can be avoided. Okay, so make an effort to hold like this with the index and the ring if you can. That's what we're going to do today. Good. Pay attention inside. The mantra is simple. Om Visara Visara Hom Pat. And there's not much to explain about it. It is to be filled until you overflow. And it will expand around you or in your immediate environment. When the Chinese say in the future, you do this practice so that in the future you will reap benefits. Many often is you will be reborn later in a better state. I've explained that this is a punitive way of saying right now I have to suffer my karma, and the politicians of the time really enjoyed that people accept their current suffering and just hope for later being in a better situation. The Christians also say that right now you're a sinner, but you will be reborn in heavens, or later you'll be saved. Okay? But the teachings of the masters are always about here and now. In the same way, the house of Buddhas is now. It's immediate. It's while you charge and do the practice. Okay, what does it mean? If we go back to the previous seal where Chandra Bahum was keeping your mind in a state of plenitude and was sinking it into the body, this flow of feeling of plenitude, visara visara, is to stay in that plenitude and be filled with it until it overflows around you. Okay. The result of which, it will benefit those around you, and it will affect your immediate environment where you live, but also where you work. And it will bring more consciousness. If they don't want to do personal growth, maybe it won't be that obvious, okay? But over time, it wants to bring that plenitude, that feeling of plenitude to others. Okay, so this one is not about us. It's about we are filled with the plenitude until it overflows and it expands in our environment. First, our house, then our workplace or school or playground, then the house of our family members, like the house of your parents, your children. It expands. It will affect your friends also. And it's a way to affect society. Anyone you are attached to will be affected by the visara. Okay? Do not confuse it with visantara. Okay? It's a completely different word. It's visara. To be filled a lot and overflows. It radiates. Okay? So we're going to do the expansive mudra, that you keep your hand upwards. If you are really not comfortable, switch to a more comfortable version. So this, without the strain on the fingers, you can just relax them all. But the major and the pinky, the major and the ring are a bit more inside. Okay, so you're holding a box more relaxed. Okay, I'm gonna still do it traditional way, because that's traditional. That's how they taught it. But if it's difficult, this will expand slower. It still expand slower, but it will purify. It will have a positive enhancement. Okay. But we're already in a state of plenitude, so we are bringing some positivity anyway. So like a city meditation, visara. Take the state of the previous seal, our mind in a state of plenitude sinks into the body. Visara, visara, it expands around us. It affects the places and the people. Om visara, visara, hom pat. Om visara, visara, hom pat. Om visara, visara, hom pat. In a state of plenitude, that consciousness goes through me and expands outwardly. Om visara, visara, hom pat. Om visara, visara, hom pat. Om visara, visara, hom pat. The more as a person you care for the well-being of others, the more efficient that is. Okay. Like I said, it's one word, visara. It's the only thing we learned this week. Oh, look, my mala gave me a bit of 70s feelings. Take your mala. And we're going to do a full mala of this. If you become uncomfortable with this mudra, you know you can just switch. And you don't have to be rigid, you can just switch. You hold your little house filled with Buddhas, including yourself. Doesn't mean you're a Buddha. Doesn't mean you're not. Let's do a mala. Om Visara Visara Hum Pat. 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 Visara Hum Pat. Om Visara 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 Visara Hum Pat. Visara Visara Hum Pat. Om 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 Visara Visara Hum Pat. Visara Visara Hum Pat. Om 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 Visara Visara Hum Pat. Some of you have one more bead than the mala I have. Just do it. It's good. Om Visara Visara Hum Pa. Plenitude from the higher realms to the lower realms to here flows and affect the environment. Visara, overflow, expand through overflowing. Now for this overflow to happen, you'll have to look at control if you have a reaction. If something is you tightens the tube or the river, you'll feel it and it's okay. It's not a bad thing to have moments of control. If we never learn about it, you'll see it when it happens. Okay? Especially in the human, when the human controls something of the soul, human didn't know that it has to let go, to have faith, to trust evolution, and to trust yourself, to know you can defeat whatever is thrown at you. And also accept the inevitable. Stuff happens. Okay? So you allow the Vistara experience, the overflowing of consciousness. And it surprises you, it surprises others. Humpa. That means it could bring turbulence to very controlling people. It's like that. Make peace with expanding consciousness. It's always good to bring the blessings. Okay? Don't be afraid of the possible consequences. It's only gonna be positive on the long run. All right, so a mudra and a mantra that is supposed, and a state of being, of course, that is supposed to bring a house of Buddha. Well, you or others will not convert into Buddhas until you do a lot of personal growth. Okay? What does that mean, to bring Buddha? They're not talking about the title of Buddhahood. They're talking about the meaning of awakening. Buddha means to be awakened. And awakening is the first bhumi. It's the fourth stage of Vibhava-pad. It's super early, okay? So the level of Buddhahood is much more advanced than awakening. But awakening, the first awakening where you realize that there's something mystical about this world, is super early. And that too is called Buddha. Okay? So we must not be too strict about this. Okay? Let us talk about these scales. The 10 bhumis and the Vibhava-pad. Millennia ago, where humans were barbarian, war was raging once per generation. A lot of suffering, a lot of strong clans raiding the weaker clans to get their resources instead of cultivating them themselves. You see, in a world with no education, everyone was an animal. So to reach the first bhumi of awakening, which is the fourth Vibhava-pad, was rare, and it was a joyful thing because you felt something mystical. And it was rare. People were stuck in the animal, and sometimes the zombies following orders, and sometimes stainless, wanting to ask questions. Today, the stage of awakening is super early. Teenagers with barely no education of spirituality can be awakened by themselves. It's so easy. So enlightenment, that was extremely difficult at the time, is quite easy to accomplish today. 1 year of dedicated personal growth and mysticism. So it's not just psychology. There's mysticism, enlightenment like that for anyone. And this is certainly not limited to the Mahayana Buddhist tradition. It's every legit tradition that has something good at the base. Enlightenment is achievable easy. The problem comes when we want to use these scales as a series of titles. I am enlightened. If it's easy to reach enlightenment, it means that you're not so special in a world where everyone can accomplish it. Compared to the past 2,000 years ago, where it was practically impossible because the mind was not philosophically trained. Today, we watch science fiction movies that are, philosophically speaking, very complex. In science fiction, we speak of other dimensions and stuff like that. The mind is already prepared to accept higher philosophical experiences. And then we can feel it if we just bring a bit of prayer, a few mantras, So to have the title of enlightenment is ridiculous. It's not a title. It's just a good way to mention where you are in your evolution. And if it's easy for a lot of people to achieve it, it means you're not so special. It's just like, okay, it's cool because you're not a depressed maniac, I've known people who are enlightened and also had suicidal thoughts. You're not free of problems when you have reached a certain level of perception. One dude that, sometimes I receive emails or Facebook comments, and if an assistant doesn't care to answer, I won't even bother. And, there's just too many. But there's a few I was like, okay, this guy, I have to answer him. So I got to follow a bit of story. Some of you know him, Rick Hurst. I'm not even sure if he's watching right now, maybe. Rick Hurst has awakened and then enlightened and was still battling with tremendous negativity inside. Those of you who know him can see how deep he was in his consciousness and also all the problems he had. And then one would ask me, is this guy enlightened? I say, of course he is. He can't be enlightened, it's so fucked up. Well, maybe it's because of your definition of what is enlightened. Maybe you hope for validation so much that you still need enlightenment to be a honorable title. It's not. What's his name? The guy who just posed the thing, Vincent Louis. This guy has been going on between awakening and enlightenment forever, okay? And he's battling his demons inside. You see, if you need validation, you will want enlightenment to be something special, but it's not. And it certainly does not mean that you have resolved the stuff of your mind. Oh no. Okay? It was a hard state to accomplish when no one knew how to philosophize. Buddhahood was close to impossible to achieve. I don't know, maybe there's 30 Buddhas in the Mahayana tradition right now, maybe a bit more. That's a lot. Well, that's a lot if you don't understand what Buddha is. It's a certain depth of perception But whatever arrogance these people have, it is unresolved. Myself, Shivagam, and Rishidva, we are avatars. And look at all the ego we have. Those who know us personally, but you've just done something wrong. You just lied there. Yeah, I mean, very quickly I recuperated. I do a mistake. I'm super quick in acknowledging my arrogance. Avatar is not perfection of being. It's another level where if you take the time to be conscious of God as all things, it's not even an effort. In the worst moments of depression, because I had moments of depression this year, it lasts a day and it goes because I deal with it. I still feel God at the molecular level, at the macrocosmic level. It doesn't make me special. Do you understand? It's not a title. It doesn't mean that it will validate me as a certain quality of being. This scale is there to measure the depth of your perception. Whoever studied with Rishidva will sometimes disagree with things that he says or choices that he makes. Some of these disagreements you have are simply because you don't have a deep perception like he is, so you can't agree with him. But some others is because he's having his moments. I know him to still much better than before, but he's still impatient. Shivagam, he's direct. So of course, like with his friends, his employees, he's direct. He's not direct with me, or when he is, I like it. But he's intense. It can be perceived as arrogance by someone who is not clean inside. Sometimes it's this stress overflowing. Then how can this guy be an avatar if sometimes he gets angry? I mean, he gets angry and he's really pissed. How can he possibly be an avatar? Because avatar is not what you believe it is. It's not a title to validate great Krishna who is perfect and has all supernatural powers. No. Even Krishna explained it. It's like, we're incarnate, we have arrogance. It's like that. Okay? So you have to stop wanting validation so that the scale of Vibhava or the 10 bhumis will stop making you important when you have reached certain awakenings. It's just a way to measure where you are in your personal growth and your mysticism, your metaphysical understanding of the universe. But while we're here, we're in our own duality. So sometimes you'll see me and you'll find me arrogant because you cannot understand what made me do these choices or those actions. And that it is you who's limited. And sometimes you will see me arrogant because I was wrong. Because I was genuinely arrogant. Because it took me a lifetime of experience to realize the power I had, I used it immaturely. It was unwise, but you give power to someone who didn't have guidance, he'll try stuff. So I tried stuff, okay? So I'm telling you, some of the mistakes I've done in my life and recently, but more in the past, we always like to believe we are wiser. Some of them is because you don't have the ability to see how perfect was my strategies to bring awakening. But many other times, It's because I was genuinely full of shit. And I was a Buddha with very deep consciousness. And when the feedback of that comes through karma, dharma, or prakti, sometimes revelations, I was simply quick, say, okay, that was a mistake. I have to grow from this. This came back lately, and these people pretend to be enlightened or Buddhas. We don't pretend to be Buddhas. We're saying that the title Buddha, even when Sakyamuni said it, he never said that he was the greatest of beings. He came out of meditation with his mind filled with consciousness, and someone asked in astonishment to the, you see people come out of meditation and they look fabulous sometimes. And someone asked, how can I call you? And the Buddha said, the Buddha. And he was just filled. He was in a state of plenitude. He had the face that you guys had last week when you did the Chandrabahuma, for example. It's not so, Buddhahood is kind of very deep. But it's not special. It's something that was extremely hard 2,000 years ago, when the whole of nature was aggressing you and your focus was on survival. And you would fight for resource and physically hurt someone to get more resource. And then your state of compassion could not develop because hunger was too painful. You understand? And now we have the ability to eat every day and even call ourselves poor, but we eat every day. We have clothing, we have shelter. It is not so hard to believe that we can be a house filled with Buddhas. It is still unlikely if the others don't do their personal growth. But it is possible for you to do the Visara practice, to say that consciousness that I have, I want others to feel it and have it. And it will bless their mind and it will encourage their personal growth. If you do yours, it will encourage them to do theirs. Doesn't mean they will get the title of Buddhahood unless they do decades of that with efficient tools. But it does mean that the awakening, now the first level of the word Buddham, okay, the awakened. Yeah, they can have like, hey, I just realized something. Wow, I just realized like what I did when I was a teenager, that was not nice. That's what we call awakening. To realize our behavior had an impact and we want to become better. That's awakening. In the Bhumis, it's called the joyful, because you feel happy when you realize that you want to do something for others, for their benefit, and what you did was wrong, but you want to get better. It's like, it feels good to want to get better. Yeah. So the class did not require me to explain Visara much. It's a simple state. You take the best version of yourself in the most spiritual and incarnate way, and you let it overflow into your environment and in others. Okay? And then this will bring Buddha. It will bring awakening. So it's not the 16 vibhava of Buddhahood. Okay? But it will bring awakening. And every time you're tempted to say, I'm enlightened, why do you need others to know that? Validation. It is absolutely unproductive for another to know what you're learning right now in life, where you're at in your depth and clarity of perception. Do you understand that? So you have to discredit those scales and use them productively for yourself. And stop putting people on pedestals. If you need the title of avatar to mean perfection of a being, it's because you want to achieve that perception, this perfection, so you can dream of more validation. You want to be a superhero. Okay. It's just a scale of the next problems to solve. That's it. When you become an avatar, you attract your karma. That's what happens. The others see how deep and metaphysical you are, so you think, wow, he's absolutely awesome. But if you knew me, you would know I'm impatient. Well, per moment. I'm stubborn. I have my own things. I have my phases of laziness. I feel like a victim too often. Okay? It's like that. I have my own human. Okay? So, yes, I am an avatar, but it's certainly not what you have dreamt. Like if I was like in the fairy tales of Krishna with great power. But the miracles that he's done, yeah, I've done them. Still arrogant. And humble at times, but arrogant at times. Do you understand that? So, do the work to liberate your ability of Visara, to liberate or to allow your experience of Visara to be unhindered. Look at how much validation you need from others. How much you need your titles to mean something. But I'm that, look at me. It's unproductive. If you want people's love, it should not be for what you've accomplished. It should be for what you've done for them. If you want people's appreciation or admiration, be helpful. Be kind. Make them love you for what you did for them. And they'll love you, of course. It's always cool when someone is so nice. Not for the PhDs or the job you got or fucking awesome you've done. Yeah, like the Guinness records you've crossed, you know? Do you understand that? So you'll see when you just want to, well, you know, I'm an engineer with 2 PhDs and, you know, I think I'm right. You know, if you need to drop your titles, what are you waiting for? What are you really hoping for, okay? Because that blocks your expansion. For your expansion to happen, your mind must be on the benefit of others. And your actions has to be doing good things for others. Now, not as a savior. A lot of people ask for my help and I don't give it because I'm tired. And I don't feel like it. It doesn't mean that you have to become a slave of everyone and devote yourself like a martyr, like you know, doing sacrifices all the time. No. It doesn't mean that everything must be for others. It means do things for others and bring benefits to others. And that will make you feel good. And yeah, they will love you as a consequence of that. Right? And do something for others if they want it. If they don't want it, just let it be. Right? So that being a good person will allow your consciousness to be about others, and your visara will just go. All right? Om visara visara hompa. Cool. Peace, guys. Love you all.